Dun 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 dun. So welcome guys, we're going to talk about what we talked about today in Social Studies 20. So today we talked about dictatorships, and we introduced dictatorships. And so one of the things we talked about is why people criticize liberalism. So liberalism is a principle of economic and political freedom that we see in capitalism and democracy. However, people argue that liberalism fails to give us three big things: order, belonging, and freedom. And that it fails to give us order because essentially every person is for themselves and there's no principles that we follow. So Burke would hate this. It fails to give us belonging because essentially we are not part of these grand projects. Every person is just doing their own thing, and where we're moving away from the institutions that gave us belonging. And it fails to give us freedom because this freedom that we give us takes us away from the things that gave us meaning. And so what critics of liberalism say is that actually we need ideologies or we need principles that give us order, belonging, and freedom. And one of the ways that we do this is through dictatorships. And so dictatorships are essentially these political structures in which we have of one person or a small group of people making decisions. And these elites essentially are believed to be better than everyone, to be smarter than everyone, to be more equipped than everyone. And so they know what's best for the country. They're the most well-equipped to follow what's best for the country. And individual rights must be subjugated to the interests of this elite. The different types of dictatorships. We talked of autocracies, where there's one ruler; juntas, where it's the military taking over; majority tyranny, where the majority oppresses the minority; oligarchies, in which we have a group of people making decisions. So these dictatorships will oftentimes maintain their power through techniques such as force and terror, indoctrination and education and propaganda, having a vision that we all follow. And so this could be through creation of a cult of personality, where the ruler or the rulers are basically like gods that we all aspire to. It could also be through controlled participation, where you make people feel like they have a say, but they actually do not. And so remember, we said that a lot of those techniques that were in your notes, we actually see and practiced a little bit with the Trump administration. All right, so I'm not saying Donald Trump is a dictator. We start to see a lot of those techniques that we saw with dictators applied in the Trump administration. Finally, we talked about essentially the difference between totalitarianism and dictatorships. So totalitarian controls every single aspect of your life. And so totalitarian, total control. Dictatorships could control every aspect of your life, but they don't necessarily. And so every single totalitarian regime is a dictatorship. But not every dictatorship is a totalitarian regime, because not every dictatorship controls every aspect of your life. And the last thing we talked about is the idea of the great man theory. So the great man theory says that history is not a series of events, but rather a series of one great man after the other. So history is not a series of events, but rather one great man after the other. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please make sure you go over and review your notes and take it easy. Keep being a good person.